YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and we're going to do an auto-generate army challenge. I'm going to pick the Dark Elves because they're a good faction in general, and I'll use them for the auto-generate army. So this is what I'm going to get. I have no idea what my opponent's going to pick. Just pick my faction first. This map's a good one, Alpine Ridge. Relatively balanced, got a big hill in the center, should be fun. What kind of, we got Manfred on a chariot, ugh. Especially since he picked Lizard Mint. Feral Manticore is not going to be worth much here. We do have 2 Dark Shards and the 1 Repeater Crossbow. That could be worth a lot. Dread Knights, you know, could be good. Dark Riders, maybe. By way of infantry, we've got a Harganeth Executioner, the Sisters of the Singing Doom, 1 Blackheart Corsair, 1 Spear, and 1 K-Knight Assassin. And the Assassin doesn't come with any of his items, but all of the abilities. And of course, Malekith is going to come with all these spells. That's the downside of the auto-generate army. And I'm not going to touch anything. Not changing anything. We're taking the auto-generate army as it is, even with all the stupid chevroning and stuff. Thank you very much, CA. Here we go. Enjoy the challenge. I will see you on the battlefield. Alright, let's check out the results of my battle. You guys saw my auto-generate Dark Elf army, so let's show you the Lizardmen army. I'm going to put it in slow-mo real quick. We've got a front line of Saurus warriors. There's going to be 5 of them, which is a significant infantry threat. There's a Feral Stegodon, a Feral Carnosaur, Krokgar on Grimlock, a Skink Priest, a Laura Beast, and 3 Feral Cold Ones. So my opponent has a lot of fast-moving troops, and my 2 Dark Shards are going to be in danger. I've got my Feral Manticore up in the air. Obviously, this gives me scouting. And I forward deployed my repeater crossbows so that I could do this very thing, which is try and get a lot of damage in on his big armored dinos at point blank range. So you can see my Dark Riders with repeater crossbows going to be doing very well at that. They do have the attention of the Feral Cold Ones. You'll see them cresting that hill back in the back. They're going to come run me off because they don't like me doing what I'm doing to that Stegodon, which is actually causing quite a lot of damage. My opponent is going to move out to the flank here with one of the Feral Riders. Remember that I've got a Cold One Dread Knight here, which is going to be very tough cavalry. And honestly, this Dark Rider with shields is going to be pretty decent against Feral Cold Ones. Feral Cold Ones are armor piercing, but they have very low attack and defense. And should be okay here. I brought Malekith up. He's in a chariot. He's really anti-infantry, but I'm using him to ward off charges from these big monster units. I can't afford to get a bunch of my infantry killed by charges. So I'm going to try and use my Feral Manticore plus Malekith to KO this Stegodon after I've done a little bit of damage to it, and then I'll turn my attention to Krokgar and his Carnosaur. His Feral Cold One over here gets a little bit separated, and I'm going to go ahead and pounce on that and kill it because he's a little too close. And then over here my Dark Riders engage both of his Cold Ones and end up doing pretty well. His Stegodon comes within range. Between Malekith and a quick hit from my Manticore, we berserk it, and then we're going to be able to quickly rout it. So the Feral Stegodon is going to be out, and now I can fall back with my Dark Riders. And I'm keeping my Witch Elves in reserve. I was going to bring them over here to hit the Feral Cold Ones, but then I saw that he moved both Krokgar and his Feral Carnosaur this flank, and I'm not really ready to fight these guys just yet. I need a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to pull away from that engagement. Krokgar and his Carnosaur will probably win that. I'm going to go ahead and take the infantry engagement. My Harganeth Executioners will ensure a win for me, and even my Witch Elves will do fairly well here. And now I'm going to bring the Manticore and the Cold One Dread Knights over. He tried a Hand of the Gods. It didn't work very good, and my Dread Knights are causing a lot of damage. A whole lot of damage. I must have misclicked something with the Manticore here. No, I think I pulled him out to go after the Skink Priest. Yeah, that's what I did. I brought him to come after the Skink Priest, and then I'm going to bring Malekith over here to try and attack these flanking infantry. He's in a chariot, and he ought to be quite good at this. I'm a little yeah, okay, I was thinking that he was about to go after my my crossbows, but Malekith gets a charge here, and I'm going to fall back with my crossbows. I'm not going to let him have an easy hit. He didn't manage to retreat his Skink Priest, so his Skink Priest gets caught, and my Dark Riders do fantastic. I did lose my Cold One Dread Knights, but they did some damage and caused both Krokgar and the Feral Cold One to get caught up for my Sisters of the Singing Doom to show up, and they've berserked both these units, and they're now stuck in position. I used my K-Knight Assassin to kind of hold down these Saurus warriors to be shot by the Bolt Fiends, and and it will kill those Saurus warriors very, very quickly. My executioners cut straight through as expected. They can now go on to a secondary function. And you can see back here the Witch Elves just doing a spectacular job. My Cold Ones regroup, so I'm going to bring them in for round 2. Kroq-Gar is hurting bad. These Saurus warriors routed because of the Bolt Fiends, and a quick attack from these regrouped Feral Cold Ones is going to be thwarted by my Dark Riders with shields. These Hargadeth Executioners are just a fortunate pick for me. They're absolutely crushing the Saurus warriors, and even my Dread Spears over here put up a pretty solid fight because of the Silver Chevron. So, worked out good. The Sisters of the Singing Doom, they berserked Kroq-Gar for so long that, again, this becomes worth it. My Knight Assassin is able to get some clean shots in here, and I nerfed Kroq-Gar with his Assassin's Trophy, and we actually come to a pretty handy victory there with the auto-generate army. And no offense meant towards my opponent, of course. I have no idea how much time he has in the game or what he's used to here, and honestly, a few of the units in this army were pretty good. The Dark Elves are one of the safer factions to do an auto-generate army with, because they're a faction that has units that can typically be good against all factions. Obviously, it depends on how you pick them, but in this case, I had armor-piercing missiles, and my opponent was the Lizardmen. And that puts you in a pretty good place to begin with. The only thing you have to worry about is whether you can't protect those missiles. But honestly, the Lizardmen don't have the best options for getting into all these missiles and stomping them. Feral Cold Ones are pretty unreliable. Cold Ones Spear Riders are probably a better choice. They cost more, but they're probably a better choice. And then, of course, you can bring Kroq-Gar. He's really good anti-large. He can definitely help you shut down Malekith on Seraphon if he gets in the right position. So I can understand bringing Kroq-Gar. You might have to deal with Charybdis or other things like that. But there's probably other ways that I think the Lizardmen can give the High Elves grief. It's just that it can be tough because, the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves with the Executioners are just superior from an infantry standpoint. They're just better. That's all there is to it. Those Blackguard Corsairs actually put up a pretty good fight too. Pretty impressed with the overall capability of this army. I didn't even end up using too much magic. I used a Soul Stealer on top of the fact that Kroq-Gar was going berserk because he can't heal himself when that's happening. At least I don't think he can. And I was able to suck the life out of him while healing the little bit of damage that had been done to Malekith. And again, Malekith running into the infantry and cutting them down is actually 6 Saurus warriors. I got that wrong. So he brought a ton of infantry, was basically his play. And he had the Stegodon and the Carnosaur. I think for this to be successful, he started with one right move, which was getting a couple of his Saurus warriors were coming around the flank. That was definitely a good move. He needed to pin down my Sisters of the Singing Doom. If he could pin them down with an infantry unit, then that allows Kroq-Gar and the Carnosaur to potentially get into my Dark Shards. And he really should have just backed up his Feral Stegodon at the beginning. Just back it up where I can't shoot it, and then make your approach with the infantry. Bring it in after you've engaged me, and then it'll be more difficult for me to deal with that Stegodon. So I think that would have probably been the better choice there in terms of how to deal with that. If you have a unit like that, just back it up to where your enemy can't get to it, and continue to use your infantry as the shield because they're less valuable than something like that Stegodon that you obviously might need to kill something like Harganeth Executioners. My opponent did at the end of it. He said, "Hey, thanks, I'm a big fan. Thank you for the game, man. It was fun. Ender, appreciate you playing. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. Thanks for a fun battle here. And I hope you continue to enjoy the videos. It's awesome to have people like you that make this channel worthwhile for recording. So if you're watching this, I hope you got to see yourself on here. And I know that obviously it probably would have been more fun for you if you would have beat me down. But man, keep playing. And thank you for giving me a good battle. Get out there, play some more, enjoy the game. If you haven't joined the Discord, we've got an awesome Discord group going on where you can come in and converse on lots of different topics, including all the Warhammer 2 topics. There's even a place where you can ask me computer questions. The Discord is great. Go join it. It's a great place to be with awesome people. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. I'll do more. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can see more. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now. I will see you all next time.